My name is Raymond Santiago, and I'm here as part of the summer program, I'm doing covering some of the islands in the Caribbean, a few countries, um, and my first video now is to share a little bit, bits and pieces, and some rhythms and some rhythms that seems to be related to the merengue of Santo Domingo, and so we're gonna share. We also I found that there was a type of food called merengue. Um, it was a meringue, they call it. Sweet, creamy topping made from egg, and there seemed to be a little bit of controversy about if that had anything to do with the dancing and the rhythmic rhythms of merengue, but we have to say that the name definitely sound very alike and might have some influence. Now I also took time some years ago, and I went to the library. I said, I want to look to see what they have about African music without strings, just rhythmic, just drums. And I'd like to hear some tribal interiors of Africa stuff. Let me see if I can find music recorded that I can listen to, because I would like to hear those rhythms and how they might relate to the Caribbeans. And I spent hours, and it took some time because it was difficult to find music without the strings. So then I had to hand select, and then what I did was I recorded it. At that time, it was so far back, I was using a cassette to record, so it was pretty far back. And I kept searching, and I'll pick one. Okay, this particular album has only maybe 2 songs. It's just rhythm, and some of them were recordings of the interiors of Africa among tribes that they were. And I found out that they would even stay up 2 and 3 nights playing. I don't know how strong a human being can be, but it was stated that they would even stay up for days and nights playing rhythm in the interiors of the jungles of Africa, the tribes that play these different rhythms. And actually also there was a dance called tumba, and that seemed to be in some influences from Congo, South Rhodesia. And it was used in, they would dance it and share as a community, and it would be a group of people doing like the same type of steps together as a celebration, having fun. How we might call a festival, really party, like a young person might say. But it had influences from Congo. A lot of it originated from there, and it was used as representing actually Santo Domingo at the time. It was a symbol of something that they felt proud of. They were sharing this dance, and it bring the community together. And at a certain point, it seemed to have changed. Merengue somehow, maybe with some influence, there's some controversy that if it had no influence at all, but it's difficult to think that there is a particular rhythm and a particular dance, and then all of a sudden something derives from that, even if it's a type of controversy that seems to be within the theories of it, that had no influence in the merengue from the tumba. I'm not very sure of that. I know that the merengue was also used, I think it was 1954, I think, in Santo Domingo. and it was during the time in 1954. I'm sorry, 1854. Um, and it's been written in Santo Domingo during the independence in Haiti. Uh, the merengue was part of what represented the victory in battle, and they took great pride with the merengue as a national song to represent, the victory and identity, and especially the identity of freedom at that time. So that was very interesting to me. That merengue has such rich culture, such rich information, and it was impacting. The more I find out, the prouder you feel to know you discover some truth. And I hope that maybe if you get interested, that you will search a little and see what you find, and you'll be willing to share, because that's kind of the way we grow as a community. We all put our little 2 cents in, and that will be great. It appears to be, and actually it is documented, there's documentation of merengue before Santo Domingo. In 1849, it was earlier, it was 5 years earlier actually in Santo Domingo, in Puerto Rico. There was it was forbidden to play and dance this merengue in Puerto Rico, which many times, maybe many of us haven't really heard of that. I didn't. And it was forbidden by a governor in Puerto Rico. They made it legally forbidden, and with great consequences. His name was Pesuela, I believe his name. He was the leader at the time, the governor. And the people were fined, and they were in prison, and then they also had to pay a fine. I'm not sure how long and how much, but it was definitely something that contributed to shunning out this music, merengue in Puerto Rico, that was starting to ignite. So they pour water over that joyous, such a joyful fire of wanting to dance and share, and so I found that very, very interesting, and how Puerto Rico and Santo Domingo can relate to one another, because finding some history that's it's kind of not been exposed to us. And I hope, and my intentions and my desires, that it brings us closer together, and to realize we have history together and we have victory together. Not only the sufferings that we know, being imprisoned, but also, wow, there's a little foundation that contribute to joining Santo Domingo from Puerto Rico, that if the more we learn and the more we can come together and share our culture and enrich it, and also teach our children, so that they can also feel proud and have a sense of identity and strength for leadership. I believe that's very important, and music is a very powerful tool for that. I know that it's important to share that the oldest merengue, there were strings. There was no tambora, but before that happened, of course, we have to know that if merengue was registered, documented in Puerto Rico, it was the slaves that were in Puerto Rico that was actually the origination of this development that was taking place with this new rhythm and music, which might have not been that new to Africans, because a lot of it stems from the essence of Africa, and we have that in our roots, and we should feel very proud of that. So much contribution that we've done to the world. If we just use music, we've contributed to the entire planet with these rhythms that have been very powerful, and very these African rhythms that join our roots together, and are the basic essence of our music. It's important that we recognize and feel good about it. The oldest merengue typically were, like I said earlier, it was strings. There was not drums, and it was actually a tambora. It was called a tambora, and it was folk merengues. This is folk music. It's what we call a community music. Bring us together to enjoy ourselves as a community, that we've I think we've lost our way a little bit with that, and we're finding our way back. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful for that. So the drum was a called tambora. It was a two-sided drum that you hit on a stick in one hand and the hand in the other. And one of the it was called guira. No, I mean the guira was that part that sounds like what we call a guiro, and it's made out of metal and it's longer, and it seems to be originated in Santo Domingo. And we've played it a lot for salsa music in modern times. But the merengue was el quintillo is the part that I was trying to bring to the table. Was that's with the stick and the hand on one side. It was a drum with skins on both sides, and even though, and then later on, congas are trying to play that same rhythm as time went on, but there was no drum. And one side was the skin of a cow that had not a virgin cow, and also the other side of the skin was a male goat to get that sound, that skin. So those two different skins from different animals, what gave it that unique sound to make this sound so distinct. So I'm going to give you a little illustration on the congas, how that tambora sound. So it's what you would have been. This is like the old merengue, and after that, I'm going to show you what I heard in these tapes at the library that relate to this rhythm in the interiors of Africa with tribes that were playing. So this would be like the old merengue that we call típico. Here we go. There's different varieties of the merengue. It's important to point that out. I'd like to share the experience I had of listening to those rhythms in Africa at the library, and this part of the merengue, which is the right, that very clear beat that we play to. I heard some rhythms that I'm going to try to imitate as best as possible from the tribes of Africa, and it would be, it sounds a little bit like this. I'll do my best. Bear with me. I apologize. I'm trying to respect the traditions and all that, but this is my experience of what I heard searching on my own in the library. So that's some of the rhythms that I heard that I said, oh, how, it seems to relate so much to. It seems like the foundation that I would say by my own experience, not by some very quality investigation and research on it, but just my experience, it seems like that road that we know as a merengue, which is a very important part of the merengue, you seem to hear it almost identical in the interiors of the tribes of Africa when you do some listening to just music and songs that have to do just drumming, only skins and no strings. So I found that interesting. I wanted to share that. But I wanted to share also how this old merengue changed and it has evolved. At first, the merengue típico was played on strings, and tres, cuatro, those were the type of strings that instruments that were being played. But also it appears to be some German influence that came to the islands in the 19th century when they came trading instruments and tobacco and many other things that were trading with also the indigenous people. And also what I find was that the accordion seemed to be something that came as an influence from Germany. And actually through time, you see that Germany, as ironic as it sounds to me, but Germany has been involved in very African type of influence, because particularly we come a little bit more to modern times, the rumbas and all the different rhythms of Cuba, they play it in Germany, and they enjoy it. They love the culture. So, but going back to what I was saying, the rhythms of the merengue seems to be now everybody in the commercial, worldwide, in the media. You hear merengue literally around the planet. That rhythm in merengue, and you see that people, because Latin America actually started when they did the merengue and other dances, salsa included and many others, moving the top part, the shoulder part, to these types of rhythms seems to be something that's a very Caribbean, not so much an African influence. And that combination, I call it African Latin feet to African beat, but also the top part of the body, the shoulders, shaking it like if it was the maracas, the same type of rhythm that we do. Sometimes we play the maracas and we shake our shoulders with it. And that's very African. But also, it seems to be a blend of some indigenous and the blend of African. It seems that those two together. Also, like the big drums seem that it was a big influence from Africa, but then the small drums that the indigenous people play seem to have come together, because I haven't studied a lot, but what I did find was that there was not bongos in Africa. It was during the time of trading and slave driving and bringing them, migrating, or really not migrating, they brought to Latin America, and on a trip back, all of a sudden during that time, it's not well documented, but it's the only time that you found the bongos in Africa was when they were coming back from Latin America, like particularly, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Panama, these areas, Cuba, Colombia, Dominican Republic, and then going back, the bongos appeared in Africa. And so it seemed like it was a blend. And that slave driving event that took place, the music and instruments seem to have blended together. So it really does join us to, it matches Afro-Caribbean. And let's remember what that means. It means African Caribbeans. So we're Caribbeans, but we're Africans in many ways. So that was, I thought that was very important. In the 1930s and 50s, they brought the bass, and they used the marimba. It's large, box shaped with it sounds a little bit like a piano with the metal keys and stuff. I remember seeing a study that was well done by Geraldo Rivera, and it showed the like a xylophone type marimba made out of wood, Africans playing from way back, from ancient time, they had been playing the coconuts on the bottom of these wooden sticks that were in place of afterwards were metal in the marimba. But he compared it to the 1970s when it was actually salsa, and they show Tito Puente playing, and they also show Africans playing similar rhythms way back and barefooted and everything. So even though we're talking about merengue, but it was very important to see how, what I hope is that we can see the dynamics and how we all connect. And it's important that we don't leave our identity of blackness out of our culture, because we have it, and it's something to be proud of. And it's contribute many contributions, not only music but all kinds of science inventions that our roots have contributed to the world. So that's very important. I think it's very important that the main percussion, the guira and tambora, have been part of so important part of representing the image and identity of Santo Domingo and how it brings us together. I think that's very important because we should be very proud. We're going to the second video, okay? So I'll continue the rhythms as we go along.